3 years ago, you sat in that very chair. I labeled that episode Throwing Rocks at the Moon because I felt that that's what you were doing at that time. You were heading to LA, maybe the weekend after, put a bunch of shit in the car, gonna go try to make this thing work, did what you were supposed to do. Now you're back in DC. How you feel, man?
I feel covered.
These kind of relationships that get disturbed when we don't take the time to know what it is to sing, to know how to get close to the mic again, or to get something. Singing doesn't make it happen, or maybe.
You did a lot of music making, life living. Is there anything specific that you have been reflecting on since you've been back home?
A lot. I mean, a lot of things. Like sometimes it's reflecting on, like, you know, the current moment of what may be going on. Some days are great. Some days are, you know, as brother Michael Archer, the world knows him as D'Angelo, said, good days, bad days, halfway days. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But all that aside, then there's also like reflecting on the experiences I've been blessed enough to have up to this point. So sometimes stuff from LA will like flash in my head where I'm somewhere sitting and I'm just like, you know, can picture a particular like intersection out there, like, you know what I mean, Crenshaw and Manchester, Pico and Venice, and, you know, all those different streets that I got familiar with that, you know, became my everyday.
Mm-hmm.
Is sometimes reflecting on like, wow, man, I was really there. You know what I mean? Like, which might seem small to somebody that just you know, you got it like that, or you might be used to travel all the time. But I think it, you know, just to be a big thing to come from any place to go to a distant place. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's reflecting on that. Sometimes it's reflecting on, yo, am I supposed to like still be doing this? Like, you know, should I? There are those thoughts, you know, that come too, that be like, why are you doing this? Like, it doesn't really seem like enough people care for this to keep going, but that's the bad days.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, it's the halfway, and then on the good days, it's like I said, it's me sitting and just saying, what matters the most? Are you doing your best to fulfill the greatest commandment of all, which is to love God and love the person you see in front of you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, music and art aside, it's like that's the ultimate. So it's reflecting on several things at once. It may be, I mean, I reflect on my kids all the time, you know what I mean, and their well-being, and praying and you know, for their moms, and, you know what I mean, like stuff like that. So the moment determines,
Okay.
like, the reflection, you know what I mean. But I miss the beach. I want to look to the camera and say it, but I miss the beach.
Okay.
I miss immediate access to go to the water and sit, because as far as reflection goes, I spend a good amount of time doing that. Like, literally just, yo, this is crazy. I you know, I need somewhere to breathe at, you know, and mind you, we went through fires out there in LA at the time.
Literally.
I say we because I was a part of the
Yeah,
landscape at the time. It's not like I'm from LA, but I was blessed enough to be welcome there and be, on the ground for real. So, with that, people always talk about the smog in LA. I still always felt like I got enough of God.
Okay.
Just sitting at the beach. You know what I mean?
Is water your thing? You wanted them?
I wasn't really a water cat till I went to LA. Like when I went to LA, I finally, and it's not, I envisioned in my head that it was blue water, like
okay
in the Bahamas and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And it's like, nah, this looks just like and it's colder too. The water is colder, and it was, I think, in the Pacific, but it's just something about it. It's something about like sitting there at the edge of, where one thing ends and one begins, depending on which side you're looking at, and acknowledging how small you are in this
In that water.
grand scheme of everything. And like, even like just as much as man seems to constantly portray, I'm in control of everything, you know what I mean? Of money, of where people live, you know what I mean? Of bombs, I'm in control of all of this. Not a single bomb could stop the ocean. Not a single airplane fighter or, Draco. You can shoot it into the ocean as much as you want, and you will never be as powerful as that. Knowing that even that force, the ocean, to me, was created by something.
Mm-hmm.
Not to force my beliefs on anybody, but it's just like kind of like stepping back from the, like when we started this interview, I'm sitting here and I got my mask on and I'm like, all right, man, let me be cool for the people, maybe somebody will bite my style later. Out there, it's none of that. It's just, well, man, we are all here, sitting here trying to enjoy this in some way, you know what I mean? Or maybe it was just me, because I would go out there like on winter days and just be out there, you know what I mean? God bless BB LaMonica, because she would occasionally bear the cold and go out there with a big winter
Thug it out with
and
you.
just sit out there with me. But yeah, the water is a blessing. That's what I can say. Like being able to just kind of be by it. And I wasn't never really I know how to swim, but I respect the ocean way too much.
Yeah.
And I don't respect my swimming skills that much.
I got you.
I saw people that would be, they would be going out there for real and they come back like it wasn't nothing. I'm not that cat. I might give you like, maybe waist deep, and then I'm going back to the shore real quick. You know what I mean? But it made me appreciate like access to the water.
Okay. So let me ask you, in the most basic terms possible, what'd you go out to LA for? When you packed up and drove cross country, what were you chasing? What were you looking for that you didn't feel was here?
I would say this much. I learned something very important in LA. Shout out to Baba Rob, but and shout out to the whole St. Elmo's village.
Okay.
But an elder there once said to me, we were just talking about life and art and what I was doing, and I mentioned chasing the dream, and he said, don't chase the dream. He said, just follow it. He said, if you're chasing it, it means you're behind it. He said, if you follow it, it means you're right along with it in whatever stage it's supposed to be. So I didn't go out there chasing necessarily, and that's not like, to correct you, but it's just, it made me think about that statement that he said to me.
Understood.
And another elder, shout out to Mama Ricky Byers, she said to me once that another elder spoke to her and they were talking about like hurrying. And the elder, she was from Asia, she said to Mama Ricky, we don't do hurry. We don't do hurry.
Okay.
We don't do worry. So just those things, I add them to the beginning of this just to say that faith is ultimately why I went out there. Just knowing that you got to trust that there's something greater than you. And that if you are supposed to be fulfilling some point or part of your purpose, that you're going to have to just take a dive. So that's one. And this is in no particular order, although I think faith has to be at the top of it. But I was also in support of an amazing person that is walking her path. And part of her path was, I need to leave this area. I need to go there in order to pursue this. And loving her enough to say, yo, like, I don't really know, because I didn't have this envisioned in my head at any point. I lived in New York before. I didn't have that envisioned in my head till it happened. You know what I mean? But I knew that they were both things that I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So, and I would say for me, like outside of the faith, outside of, you know, aligning with BB and helping her to push what she was doing as much as I can, because it's her gift.
Yes.
I was just a supporter. But it's just like the settlers. You're in search of gold, ultimately.
Okay.
You know, my version of gold may be different from somebody else's, because it's not like necessarily this and, you know, you know, oh, I can pay for your whole, you know, your whole life. Like, you know, it's knowing that I can pay for my main bills, which is my family, and mine are small. You know what I mean? I don't need that much. I went out there in search of the continuation of what I started here a long time, even before Let the Dirt Say Amen was a idea. So I think that was my, you know, motivations, you know, was just faith in that, you know, I believe that the same way God told Abraham, yo, get up, I got some way for you to be, and it's going to be better than what you already have. And it's going to be so much better that it's for generations and generations and generations. And I ain't really even necessarily just speaking of a physical thing, more so than blessings that can come by way of you following something through faith. And people, oh, blind faith. And I'm like, what else is faith? Because you can't see it. So saying blind faith is kind of stupid at the end of the day.
That's the whole point of faith.
Faith is D Brown with the blindfold on, hoping that basketball, you know, that's faith. So those three things, you know, faith, love, and just the appetite for hip hop and wanting to see it better and wanting to say what I need to say and add what I need to add to it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And hoping that I would come in contact with, you know, people that could help me achieve what I'm trying to achieve. So those were the like I said, the motivations for why leave. Oh, and why did I honestly, I felt like there are opportunities here that in my eyes I'm a prime candidate for. And sorry if I'm tapping the microphone. Let me be careful with that. And not based on ego, based on stats. That did not materialize, you know, even though it was a lot of like, you know, focus on what was happening, and not just with me, with the people that I was working with. So shout out to all of the brothers and sisters that helped, you know, create a movement. But I know I'm just speaking from personal perspective and what I was doing with me and God's help. It was some attention, and with the attention, usually normally there are opportunities. And I feel like DC has always kind of had that, where it's like, well, if you're not in this particular crew or clique, you know, or if you haven't achieved it in what we think is, you know, is a level of success that we deem, you know, like, oh, okay, come on into the door. I was like, all right, well, let's go elsewhere and seek it out.
Okay.
Let's not be so bound to home that fear is the anchor that that bounds you. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not because you just, no, it's just home. It's like, well, are you dependent upon, you know, again, the all, like the source, or is it you? Like,
Were you questioning that though?
I question that every other day. You know what I mean? Is you know,
That's dope though.
it's always a tussle with faith. You know what I mean? But I think I have enough of it ingrained. You know, where it's
You don't
not-
judge the fact that you're at least questioning because you
Nah,
just see that
because
as a part
I
of.
feel like, I mean, again, not to push my belief or approach to a higher source on anyone, but I'll just say this much. In the story, if you read it, I mean, Jesus, who is viewed to be the son of Jah, questioned even on the moment of his, you know, ultimate sacrifice. And he's like, my God, why have you forsaken me? So even he was like, yo, like, Pops, where you at? You know what I mean? So I think all of us, because we ain't Jesus, you know what I mean? You know, I don't know who is, again, and God bless all beliefs, you know what I mean? Because again, there's one God.
Yeah.
If you treat people right, I know that you believe in that God. But that being said, it's many moments because it's like I'm a human too. So I have, you know, downsides to being Tim, and some of them are created, some of them are inherited, you know, and like we was, you know, speaking earlier, it's like, you know, the character in life can't get right. You know what I mean? I made the joke just like, but it's like sometimes I feel that as a human, like, man, I was doing great, and then, you know, I decided to go, you know, in whatever my version of the bottle is.
Yeah.
Scott Heron. You know what I mean? Like, whatever my version of Marvin Gaye's Flying High in the Friendly Sky is. And so it could be that. It could be, again, waiting on whatever you think the blessing is, however you think it's supposed to show up, and you questioning, like, God, do you hear all these prayers? Do you see what I'm doing? Like, you know, you said, if, you know, if I did this, you do this. Like, yeah, faith is always, I think that's the way you know it's real. Because if you're still hanging on to it with those tests, then, right? Or wrong, but I said right.
I think it's, I think too, what's beautiful about what you're saying is that it's just dependent on the day. Like on Monday, it could be right. On Tuesday, it could be wrong. On Wednesday, it could be a combination of both. And what's dope is that I'm hearing you ask questions, be honest about, you know, the questions that you're asking and the answers, and then figuring out how to way to get to the idea and still stay sharp. And that's why I feel like your temperament and your art is very reflective of Tune the Fork and what I'm trying to do, because it's very similar. Like in my way, when we were talking earlier about versions of transparency, you know, you can hear yourself asking the questions in the lyrics, right? You can hear it. And there is a level of transparency and vulnerability there that really resonates with me, because I think that what you're doing continues to be unmatched or in very rarefied air from my, and cause I went back and looked at our initial video, bro, and I was looking at my facial expression. I know when I ain't bullshitting. So when the motherfuckers around me and I'm looking at it, like, yeah, I really rock with what you do and how you do it.
Likewise, brother, and I appreciate you, man. Because again, that's the reminder. When it's all these questions in the head, it's always somebody like you that will say, hey, man, don't stop. Like, what you're doing affects me and it blesses me. You know what I mean? It may be somebody that I have no clue that's in some part of the world that for some reason resonates with what I'm doing. So, yeah, that's the fuel to, you know.
And in case you have been under a rock and you don't listen to good hip hop and you don't listen to Tune the Fork, to introduce you to the brother who's speaking, Tim Hicks, aka Let the Dirt Say Amen.
Hey, yo, call me Timothy now.
Timothy.
No, I'm just messing with y'all. You know what I mean? That's what my mama named me.
AKA Baba Dirt, AKA Cool Disco Dirt, and one that I'm coming up with, DC Adrian Young, bro.
Hey,
Like
that's crazy. Shout out to Adrian.
Shout out to Adrian Young, bro. Listening to your music creates an image that I feel your music is actually the soundtrack to. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like you're making movies, bro, with your music.
I just want to do this real quick. I want to send a special shout out to my sister, my Miracle Bros sister, Georgia Ann Muldrow. All right. I'm trying to be professional and not look at the camera. But Georgia, I love you. I love you. Lie you. The chili oil sauce. All right. Thank you for being there for me in multiple ways. And thank you for being a keeper of the funk. We're talking about music and amazing musicians that create soundscapes. And I mentioned Mama Ricky Byers, who's Georgia's mom.
Okay.
But I would be remiss if I did not mention the future of the funk.
What triggered her?
I love you.
What triggered her in the opening? Like what? Talk to me. I mean, I know who she is. She's cold blooded. But
if you don't, Georgia Ann Muldrow, look that name up, and you will hopefully be led.
You won't have a choice.
Into the green pastures, so to speak.
So what triggered? What is it about her that came up in that moment?
I mean, Adrian, his work is lush. Like I've heard that word used, and sometimes it's, I've heard it used in a negative way, like, oh, he's a lush, he drinks too much. But lush to me, I don't care what the English dictionary says. What I hear, what that word says to me,
understood,
is vivid, it's broad, it's layered in a way that most people don't. Most people just have the one, you tear it open and you can see the gift. This is more like those boxes where you tear open the gift and then it's another one inside, and then you open that box and then it's another box inside. But to me, Georgia is one of those musicians. It's never like just this one thing. It's not, oh, well, she just does beats. She is a composer.
Writer, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And being blessed enough to be, close to her and experience her art in that way. But bigger than that, experience her as a person. Because that's what makes her dope. Mm-hmm. It's the person that she is. It's the God that she believes in and how she reflects that in the everyday. But she popped up. As soon as you said Adrian, it was just like some reason I saw Georgia's afro. I saw her smile, and I can hear the doom, doom, doom.
Now, the way you described what lush means, that's how I feel about your music.
Thank you.
Do you feel that way about your music?
I pray that it has layers. It's weird. It be like I said, it depends on the moment. Sometimes I am in that moment where I'm creating something and I'm like, and I'm smiling and I'm walking around the room doing like this by myself, and I always go, yo, you crazy for this one. Thank you. Thank you for sending that. And then there's some moments where, like I said, I'm a human and I'm in question of, all right, well, if only this many people are viewing the video, or only this many people, and then the numbers start to, so it's different things that can kind of, like I said, make you question whether or not it's as much as the people tell you it is. You know what I mean? But I believe definitely that I'm doing more than a lot of people are in hip hop right now. And because they don't care, or they already have enough, enough legs so that they're too tall for the fall, so to speak. You know what I mean? They don't have to worry about like the things that the MC or producer or singer on the rise has to, because they had different opportunities. You know,
You were a part of a group back in the day, EMS.
wow! Shout out to Khalil and Dave, yo. West Oak Lane for all my Philly people,
Bro.
Shout out to my brother Dave, Uptown, DC, Oxon Hill.
When what's beautiful about artists, dog, and what I like about what you're saying is the blueprint is there. And they're like these breadcrumbs that get left along the way, and the ideas are forming, and they appear to be like separate, maybe even irrelevant in some ways. And so I feel like when I even go back to Everything Means Something, EMS is an acronym for Everything Means Something. When I listen to your work, I am listening with that understanding. When I'm looking at an album cover of yours, I am looking at it with that understanding. You are an extremely intelligent individual, and you are connecting dots, you're pulling threads, and you're doing that in a way, and you're leaving little breadcrumbs, I feel, throughout everything it is that you're doing, because I feel like it's all intentional and that it all means something. When you left in 2022 to go to LA, you've done like 3 joints. Jesus Light Skin Superstar.
Which actually makes 4.
That's 4?
Yeah, I just thought about that. Sometimes I don't know why I never think about that project when I think about my albums, because it was an EP, so it's shorter than, but my friend always reminds me, he's like, yo, sometimes that's my favorite joint by you. You know what I mean?
Listen, bro.
And I'm still trying to figure out whether or not I'm considering throwing it up on streaming. You know what I mean? Hopefully we can avoid the robotic police, but I thought about putting it up on streaming because it's just been on the Bandcamp.
What, the Light Skin Superstar?
Yeah, but that actually makes 4 projects. Like, you know what I mean?
I Love You, I'm Not Sorry.
Yeah.
Contracts Over Contacts.
Which is the most recent. So Cool Disco Dirt came before that.
Cool Disco. So right, it was when you left, Jesus Light Skin Superstar. I Love You, I'm Not Sorry. Cool Disco Dirt.
Yeah.
And then Contracts Over Contacts.
Yeah. Shout out to Skinny High Tower.
That's what I'm gonna tell you. Is that for some reason I thought, is that a real dude?
That is a real brother.
Okay. I don't know why I thought you were
another super lush producer.
Naming yourself. I thought you was like doing something.
Okay. Skinny is actually a real brother. Shout out to brother Skinny, man. A super gifted. I don't want to say talented. My man, Black Indian, fly forever. Resting in paradise. He said to me one day, he said, Tim, a lot of people are talented. You're gifted. So shout out to Skinny Hightower for being gifted. And I heard something, and I think he heard something, and we heard it at the same time. And then it was like, all right, let's go. And I hadn't done an album over any producer, just solely, producing the album. I dabbled on other people's beats here or there, obviously by way of a feature or shout out to Sean Bourne, shout out to Camber, the Nino Green album, the 3 to Godway album, shout out to Howard Knox. But Skinny and me colliding marked the first time for me just working with a producer and me not, taking the reins of making all the beats on the album. And
it sounded different, man.
It made sense. I'm still trying to digest the difference in it from the other works that I've done.
It feels brighter in some, it has a different, you can hear it. It's almost like I don't know, like this is what it feels like. I don't even know if that's for people who are just listening. It feels broader and like bigger inside of the sound. It's hard for me to explain, but I can definitely tell like somebody else participated in the sound of it. It was mixed well.
And shout out to my sister, real quick. Sorry that I'm doing these interruptions.
Nah, you good, man.
Shout out, because I don't, at the end you'll forget. Shout out to my sister, Robin Charles. Robin Charles is the youngest daughter of the great Ray Charles. Me and Robin linked up through Twitter Spaces. Shout out to Miss Fathom. And Robin was kind enough, and again, she's another person that is gifted. Like, a lot of times when there's an artist that is a phenomenon, being the child of that artist is the attachment by name, but she on her own right is gifted. And Robin was kind enough to be the only feature on Contracts Over Contacts. So I just wanted to send.
Is that the first song?
Yeah, I just wanted to send Miss Robin love, and the song is actually her middle name. La Jolla,
okay.
Means the jewel or gem, I think, in Spanish, and that's her middle name. So I was just like, yo, we gonna name the song La Jolla.
Can we talk about contracts
Again, please guide me, because like I said, I've only had one spliff today.
I want to go back before that.
Okay.
I love you, I'm not sorry. You wrote that this album is about changes in relationships, from the romantic to business, family, art, and everything in between. It's about loving with authenticity and without apology. You did this when you were in LA.
It was being formed before I left, but it took like shape over there.
Okay.
Like, I knew it was supposed to be something to follow God Hates Gucci, and that's what was being, prepared, so to speak. Like, but once I got to LA, that's really where I finished the rhymes, recorded the album, shot videos, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was more part of the LA experience, but it was a bulk of what inspired the writing was stuff that occurred before I left.
Okay. And how do you feel about how the project ended up?
I think it's a proper follow-up to God Hates Gucci. I think it changes direction the way that I hoped for. Like, because it wasn't about, this needs to be like a sequel, which God Hates Gucci. See? It's always something to signify the moment. And that door shutting meant that shut the door, because God Hates Gucci 2 is going to happen. Just leave that out there. But anyway, I Love You, I'm Not Sorry was not supposed to be a God Hates Gucci 2. It was supposed to be, all right, where are you going next? You did a lot with this album prior to, so what happens now? You know what I mean? And even though I was there, I was part of the process, because I'm the dude that made it with God's help, I still have to take that album and digest it, because it's like sometimes I'm already ready for the next thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, it came out, and I, promoted it as best I could. You know what I mean? I don't know if maybe the reception of it has anything to do with it. But like I said, if you just ask me as an artist, I think, yo, you did your job. Like you did a supremely solid body of work to be added on to the overall body. You know what I mean?
So I feel like you're really good with putting projects together, bro. And I feel like that's gotten better or more refined over like these last 3 years after. I mean, even when like Bullets and all that, it feels like it's a cohesive body of work. It feels intentional. Like you set out to do something and then you're doing it with everything that comes along with the project, right? But I felt like you were trying to point to something that was a little bit more personal than God Hates Gucci. I felt like you were kind of saying going after systems and idolatry of like focused on like all of this value that we put into shit and things and how it's all superficial and people don't know how to get to the root of like the word, the lyric. But with I Love You, I'm Not Sorry, it was like there was something more personal that I felt you were trying to get to connect with, to share. Was there any fear or anything of concern that you had to address or overcome when you were looking to share about that, any of those topics?
Shout out to Lena Waithe. I love you, sis. When I was blessed enough to meet Lena, she listened to God Hates Gucci, and she was like, yo. And she said to me once, I want to hear what it sounds like when you get more personal. And I remember her saying that. And so it wasn't like, oh man, I got to immediately, it just happened naturally. The things that I was going through, the prospect of going to LA, of not being around my kids, every day, and just all kinds of stuff gave all the ingredients that I needed to be free to say, yo, just talk more from the perspective of what your, what your true feelings are and experiences as much as you can, you know what I mean? Like where people can get more of a sense of who you are outside of just, yo, that dude can spit. Yo, that dude has bars. It's like, all right, well, now what do we do with the bars?
Was it easy for you to do that?
I'd say yes and no. Yes, because I'm a writer. So you should be able to, twist your pen to whichever way it needs to go. But maybe yes, it was difficult in the sense that I had never really rapped in that way before. But that's not true. If you go through some like Cornel West Theory material, you can hear places where it's like, yo, he was really like really talking from like a place of, yo, this is what I'm dealing with right now. You know what I mean? Or if I'm not somebody maybe going through this, you know what I mean? But it was from like actual direct experience. So same way with this, but this was more like an album about it versus just like a song or a line or two in a song that referenced, oh, hey, man, I'm dealing with something. You know what I mean?
I hear peppered in some of your statements this conflict that you're having with the realization of time, getting older, doing shit for an extended period of time, honing and perfecting your craft, feeling something inside of you to continue to do this thing while trying to manage the reality of life, of being a father, of trying to keep shit going, to pay bills. This Diddy documentary just came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really like talking about shit like that on that level, meaning for just like an individual.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it's important
It's hip hop.
to talk
Whether
about
we want it to be or not, it's still,
integrity, the measure of a man, the shit people are willing to do to get the success. How do you manage when the funds don't match the skill?
Well, that's the adjustment of now. Everything, again, even up to now, is based on faith. And that's how I've been able to exist. Because on paper, I should have folded many times over, but somehow, some way, even when most of the people that surround you when the lights are flashing have kind of disappeared, God still blessed me with a couple people that was like, hey man, I care about you enough, hold this, keep going. So now that I'm back here, I made the adjustment of, all right, well, I got to work in some way to bring some dough in, you know what I mean? Because hip hop ain't paying. And they definitely ain't paying people saying what I'm saying. They paying people that fall in line. I think people smelled that on me too, because I was able to be in some spaces, and not just in LA. It's been all throughout my path. But being in those rooms that people want to be in and around people that people, I saw you on TV or social media, and they just want to be there. And it's like, well, how much do you want to be there? I don't want to be there that much where I'm about to go against everything. And it's not about because some people feel like, oh, well, you can have so many, boundaries and your integrity can be to your detriment because you're not willing to, curve and bend. And I would say the same thing that I'm saying right now to you, to them in those spaces of, hey, this is not the type of person I am. I'm who I'm saying to you. I'm not a have your people call my people type of dude. I'm right here. You trying to, are we working for real?
Yeah.
Is it serious? Are we here to help shift this culture like you guys talk about all the time on the podcast? And it's cool because it's we're already established artists and we sit here going back and forth about the culture, and it's yeah, but a lot of y'all know about people like me. And it's not on you to necessarily make something happen, but it's if you're quiet and silent, and if there is no, push to say, hey, yo, man, check him out, check her out, check them out. How much do you really care? So that being said, I'm not, it's just naturally not in me. I'm not trying to be a rebel. It's just naturally not a part of me to, want that so much. It's I'm here. I see, I'm not in the room oh man, there's so-and-so. I got to get next to him. Man, if it happens, it happens. And again, I ain't expecting nothing to come from it unless something comes from it.
But so the reason why I referenced the Diddy joint is because you're watching people, and this happens everywhere, and I'm sure,
they want to be in the club.
They want to be, they want the access, they want
the perks, you know what I mean, that come from having that key fob.
But what are they willing to give? And I think, so when the funds don't match the skill set, right, the abilities, the gifts, people begin to make concessions. They begin to smooth the edges around, and the next thing you know, you came into the joint trying to stand on the square. Now your square is a circle, and you've been turned all the fucking way out because you just wanted to get to this point. Are you acknowledging the fact that to a degree you're playing a different game, which means that the metrics are going to be different?
Yeah, it's I all right. So people put a lot of focus on the genre, right? Oh, it's you're a rapper, or you know. And again, the ageism question comes up all the time within. Oh, well, you haven't, made it by this age, then throw yourself off a roof, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what's being shown right now is that, yeah, well, I mean, the people that y'all chose to do it ain't doing it. And this is why hip hop sounds the way it does and why it looks the way it does. But while that's happening, Nas and Premier just dropped. Shout out to Pete Rock. Pete and Common dropped. De La dropped. Black Thought is continuing to be Black Thought. You know what I'm saying? So it's like something's happening right now that's saying maybe you being yourself is going to win. And if it wins just simply by way of people finding it, then I did my job. If it wins by way of people finding it and the money finds its way back to me, thank God. But I think at some point I accepted that I was a blues man, that it was bigger than just being a hip hop person. It was like you are literally like those blues artists where some of them may never get as big as a B.B. King or as a, even Muddy Waters had to go through stuff. And it took years. Like he was winning, but it was like his real winning came like when he was later, older age. Like, remember we were talking about Ka, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Fly Forever, brother Ka, out of Brooklyn. I watched, a Red Bull interview with him, and he was just like, yo, people always talk about that. He was like, you ain't even official in blues till you 50. What you gonna talk about before that? Because you ain't got no joy and pain to talk about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you haven't used this tool in your hand long enough to know the tricks of, oh, well, if I turn the tool this way, or if I strike it with this amount of pressure versus someone who's new to it, who's just like, yeah, I mean, that's just my particular analogy that I will put it through, is just that I've had time to get familiar with the tools that I'm using. And if it ends up being that I never made a real dollar off of this, that's what it is, because I chose the route a long time ago. And I think the route chose me. And I think there's more to the idea of divine timing than we give credit to.
Yeah.
And the idea that unless the Lord build the house, you know what I mean, I could have all the supplies in the world. And it's just, so I've adjusted to, instead of praying for success in that way, I say, let thy will be done.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever your will is for my music and my art, just let it, happen. You know what I mean? I don't know what it's supposed to look like at this point, because I had a picture, that I drew out over time. It's like, yo, man, you know what I'm saying? You want to see me with Q-Tip, and it's like, but I'm getting closer. I know I'm closer than I once was. I can say that much. I can say that by the grace of God, the sound that was created by a kid from east of the river, northeast DC, y'all notice I don't need a jersey or nothing like that for you to know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like since Jim Vance, I've been doing my job of saying, yo, we have people here in this area that are amazing and gifted at this. A lot of us are of the age where we grew up alongside of hip hop, and we're doper now than we were before. I represent those people, and if it ends up, that I hit what I'm trying to hit, then great. But I'm not at all gonna, think about this. I had this on at the start of the interview, right? And, we associate these masks with
the YNs.
our young people, but we call them YNs, right?
Yeah.
So to win, I could take this same mask, same gloves, same glasses, same, whatever brand clothing on, and get with a bunch of guys with guns and, you know, sisters that are dressed a certain way, and maybe that might get off, and I could change what I'm talking about over my lyrics and say something really bad and really horrible, because that seems to win. They seem to have tons of money to go invest in that. You know what I mean? There's not a lack of opportunities for those people, but I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Because my kids will have to play this music back. They listening now. Even if they don't really listen, they still have seen a video, or, you know what I mean? They know that this is what their father does. Even if I'm not a rich man, they know, like, yo, people know you because of that. So I want to make sure they can always play the music back. You know what I mean? Without having to say, yo, Pops was capping. You know what I mean? He wasn't really about that life, and look at what he's representing just to get on.
Just to get on.
Yeah, it's not worth it for me. And I wasn't ever into most of the stuff people were into anyway. I don't care about being in the club, you know, being seen, you know, with the hookah and, you know, like, I don't care about none of that. Like, I don't want to be around most of y'all anyway. I just want what God has set aside.
So I asked ChatGPT.
Which, see, I'm glad you said that, because I'm actually dropping an app called ChatGPT. No, I'm just messing with you, man. I'm just messing with you, bro.
So I asked ChatGPT to describe your music.
Wow. Yo, that's crazy, because short-winded, I did a search just using Google, and the AI overview comes up now. And I was interested in what it said. But I felt like, you know, so I want to hear what ChatGPT has to say, because I'm new to that. Like, I
feel you.
People have been telling me about it for years, but again, sorry, y'all. I was born in the 70s. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. I still remember tapes and phones with cords, you know, landlines. So pardon me.
It says, "Let the dirt say amen" feels less like a genre and more like a testimony set to sound.
Wow.
His music lives at the intersection of spiritual excavation, and sonic restraint, where faith is not polished but weathered. It sounds like kneeling in the dust after life has knocked the breath out of you, letting the ground witness what your mouth can't yet say. There's a quiet reverence to it, but never silence, more like a low hum of endurance. Sonically, it leans minimal, atmospheric, and intentional. Space is treated as an instrument. Notes arrive slowly, often weighted with emotion rather than urgency. You can hear influences of ambient gospel, post-folk, meditative soul, and prayerful minimalism, but none of it feels performative. It's not trying to impress. It's trying to tell the truth. Lyrically and emotionally, Let the Dirt Say Amen is about faith that survives disappointment, hope spoken through exhaustion, prayer without pretense, worship that acknowledges grief, doubt, and persistence. It's music for people who've lived a little, those who understand that belief isn't always loud, joy isn't always bright, and praise sometimes sounds like a whisper from the ground up. If mainstream worship music raises its hands, then Let the Dirt Say Amen kneels.
Wow. Wow. So now I have to make sure when, not if, when I win these next Whammy Awards coming up in March 2026. I said when.
There you go.
That I'm going to have to give ChatGPT a shout out. Because that's, as my peoples in the UK say, that's a mad thing, bro. Like, that's crazy. That is very human, the way they described it and put it together. I might add that to definitely, again, the quotes from people that I've encountered that have put it in a way that it's like, no, this is what I get from what you do. You know what I mean?
And if that's what you give, bro, the metric has to be different than financial. And I know that there's this desire, bro, for that. And it's legitimate and it's real, and you know, motherfuckers gotta eat. You know, we men, right? But I can't imagine someone, an artist, with that being the descriptor of their music, being behind anything. Niggas gotta catch up, bro. And your lyrics, bro, are getting better. Not to say they were whack. I mean, it's a different, it's like, I've been trying to describe things now using words of like texture, because it transcends like the sonic nature of it. It's like you can't, Silk feels a certain way. On your body, on your hands, on your attitude. So you can't just touch it and then use only that as the method of describing what it is and what it means. And your music is coarse, but not like rough. When I describe how I feel, sometimes I use the egg as an example. Like an eggshell, which is like if you just touch the egg on the surface, you feel like it's smooth, but really it's just rocky as hell, right? And you gotta, depending on how fast you go across it, you might feel more of the grooves when you go over it slowly, but if you go over it fast, you might feel it smooth, and that's how I feel sometimes. But with your music and what you're talking about, I don't, it's a lot like YU, bro.
Shout out to Big Brother Mike.
Man, get well, brother. It's, I feel bad. How do I say this? I mean, this is just me and you talking, right? I feel so, I connect with the pain associated with continuing to do something at a very high level and then not watch the fruit of that come back. And then to watch other people, and I'm human, so I judge. I don't fucking mind saying it. Looking at somebody else doing something that I perceive to have lesser value, get the accolades, get the benefits of it. And I feel deeply for that because I know what they're saying too.
I feel like Jon Snow. I don't know if you a Game of Thrones fan, but, and spoiler alert, but by this time, if you haven't seen it, you should have seen it, but I will try to not say anything. I'll just say that Jon Snow is a central character in the story, and his family ties are both like regal, but then it's always like, it's also like a black sheep thing with him, right? And that kind of goes on throughout the story, but basically what people don't know is that he is actually way more kingly than anyone knows. And he never, like, there's so many people around him that have the wealth and the different, you know, kingdoms that are established. And, oh, this person is maybe a better swordsman, but none of them had what he had. And he was needed in order to create success for the overall, you know, group of people, despite his lack of this or lack of a name, you know what I mean? And he was stabbed in the heart by the people that he tried to help and defend because they felt he was too much of a rebel and that he was shaking things up too much. You know what I mean? So, like I said, whatever God has, I pray that he dumps it, down the chimney because Santa don't bring it. Merry Christmas, y'all. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Contracts over contacts.
Yes.
Looking at the picture
Mm-hmm.
of the album, on top of the statement, has my mind going 52 different places. So rather than me add anything to it, talk to me about the album, the title, and why you chose the album cover.
Okay. Experience. You know what I mean? I think that'll always be like what creates, but my experience is being in LA and like I said, getting closer to where I'm attempting to go and the things that I need to support that. I also experienced like the plastic feeling that, has been rumored to be in those rooms and spaces and amongst some of those people. And again, shout out to those that I love that, sorry, I keep hitting this mic, that did look out for me, that did, was a blessing to me in whatever way. But I also encountered, the talk. Oh yeah, man, yeah. And just talk. Because they really want you to have a name before you have a name. And I'm like, well, if I walk in the door with 100,000 followers already, or even just 1,000 loyal people, just 1,000 loyal people that will spend $20 every time they see Let the Dirt Say Amen put anything out. If there were just 1,000 of them, right? But imagine I come into some situation where it's like, oh man, we see, you got 50,000 people looking at you. You got 100,000 people. It's 250,000 people looking at you. Well, I don't really need your help necessarily at that point. When I do need your help is when I'm on the level that you were once on. And somebody, even though you fought for your space in whatever way you did, even though you earned it, somebody's said, come on up to the next.
Yeah, you got tapped for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I said, to be, and that's another thing. While people could see, like going back to the Game of Thrones thing, while people could see in that character, man, this dude is like pretty gifted at stuff. He was still overlooked, like intentionally. He was still even demoted intentionally. You know what I mean? So that they could keep him from, and it's not a crybaby story. It just is what I experienced. Like I said, y'all may have your experiences. My experience was, I tell people, I make this joke. They like, yo, man, how was LA? And I say, for those that, are young enough, it was a lot like the Hollywood swinging episode on Martin with Varnell Hill. Hey, man, are you going to be in Hollywood anytime soon?
Oh, okay.
Damn. Man, if you were in Hollywood, you would be on my show. And then now you done went.
Now you in Hollywood.
Now you done went to the show. Yo, V. And it's like, yo, who are you? You know what I mean? Like, so it's just the energy. Sometimes it's lack of someone doing something. Sometimes it's their conversation that let me know. And I'm not a dude for just being in a room. Like I said, before even going there, I was already in rooms. It's not a bragging thing. It's an achievement. It's based on a path that picked me. I picked it. And it's a righteous path, I believe, because I'm not putting anything into my art that's a contaminant. It's not a germ or virus to further make hip-hop worse. So I feel like, you should value this way more.
Way more.
Especially now. You know what I mean? Now that y'all done let hip hop go into this, oh yeah, man, just let the young people have it and do whatever they do with it. And then, you know, again, there's some executives. I will leave their color nameless. I just know that they all have green. You know what I mean? And they fund the worst of things. You know what I mean? There's a bag for that. So being in some of those spaces and just, you know, having experiences, having meetings, you know what I mean, where potential things that I wanted to take place had it happen. You know, now I show up and everybody's like, oh man, you know, I see you shining. You know what I mean? Like so having those experiences, having, you know, like coming back home real quick, briefly last year, you know what I mean? I do a show, maybe like 15 people was at that joint, but I've dealt with that before. I've been doing music for like, you know what I mean, almost 30 years. Like, so I already know what it's like to go from one moment, you know, being in front of like, oh man, this is a lot of people. And then now it's just like, and you still got to do it the same way. You can't just go out there and say, now it's only one person looking. Oh man, I failed. What if that one person gets, you know, a blessing from God from your art? Then you did your job, you know what I mean? But all around the world, just to say, those experiences sometimes can just become a contact in your phone. And it's nothing more than that. And maybe you might have actually made a friendship out of it or something like that, but it's just a contact in your phone. Nothing is coming from it. It's not the person saying, oh man, well, I'm here, so let me connect you with this person because they can help you do this. Often it's just, yo man, I got so-and-so's number in my phone, you know what I mean? And I mean, I would like to believe y'all know that we grown out here, you know what I mean? So you should probably have understanding that I have people to take care of too.
Yeah.
And if I'm giving myself to the art, shouldn't I be compensated for it? Where's my contract at? So it's about, where do we get to the paperwork? When does it become a step more realer?
And that paperwork, you know, represents for you
and it could
a
be
commitment.
Yes, a commitment to, yo, let us help you get to where you're trying to get to, because it's going to help us in the immediate run anyway. You know what I mean? I don't own Spotify, so I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying? Whatever entity that collaborates with me and they have the reach for that, they're going to benefit off of my art being out there doing those streams. Now, if you invest in it, then the streams can go up. If you don't invest, then it's just up to chance. You know what I mean? So when does it become realer? It's real
than
to
just
me.
Talk.
It's real to me. Is it real to y'all? Because I would like to believe that at the drop of a dime, you can make something happen. But maybe it's a perception that I have. And maybe you aren't where I think you are. Or you just don't want to do it, which, you know, that's on you. If I'm right here, I have the product, you know, it's you know what I mean? It's just like, look, I actually have the dope. You have the territory. So let's take this dope into your territories and you know, but that's just my theory. So I would much rather be in talks that become real versus just being in the room. Oh man, I was around so-and-so. I was there with so-and-so, and people looking at photos and stories on IG, and their perception is, oh man, he must be doing it. I seen him with, you know, and it's like, where's the contract, man?
What about the album cover?
The album cover. So it's funny. This is a great.
And just so we know, describe. I'm gonna put it up. BB LaMonica. I'm nosy. But I just that's your. That's. Do you say that's your? Is that your lady? Is that your? I'm trying to figure out how to.
I can say this much: the story is attached to everything because BB has been my everything for a long time, and life calls for transition.
Okay.
So that's a brief way to summarize where we both are at this point. But she's who she is to me. Let's just put it that way. So that's forever special. That's forever locked and linked, no matter what. But the album cover, right? All right. So just like I said, and maybe you'll segue me into another way of like fulfilling that part of the story. But,
Okay.
Because I'm about doing it in an honorable way.
Understood.
You know what I mean? It wasn't like who goes on it. And again, I'm not that big, so it's like nobody's looking like, yeah, man. It's not like I'm on, with the Usher numbers, pulling up on the View or something, and they like, man, so tell me about what happened with you and Madonna. You know what I mean? It's like,
but what's beautiful when you go back to how,
but even in just a small scene, people still look, people still formulate their stories, people want to know stuff, and like I said, let me get to the photo, so that'll help me get to it, right? So that photo was actually supposed to be the album cover for I Love You, I'm Not Sorry. It originally started out on a day, shout out to my brother Ronnie Bueller and all of my LA Beach Squad peoples. You know what I mean? It's a long list, so I ain't gonna go into the shout outs, but we were all hanging out. I think we were on Venice Beach, if I'm not mistaken. And we had kind of hit that wall where I saw the graffiti, and it was just like, yo, this is dope. And then, my homeboy Ronnie was just like, yo, he's a photographer, he's snapping photos, and he caught that shot, and I was just like, yo, that's like really dope. Like artistically, there's just something about that image of like, the couple like, embracing or kissing. And the backdrop, if you look at what's on the wall, it's the words too. Like, it was just like, wow, how did this just happen to end up behind? So I originally thought about it for I Love You, I'm Not Sorry. But then something happened, and I did this.
the album cover so
upside
dope, bro.
down in a photo.
I love that album cover.
It was like, dude, like, that's it. You know what I mean? Plus, the other thing was like my face wasn't on an album cover prior to I Love You, I'm Not Sorry. And even though it's still kind of, you can't see
I thought that
it,
joint was dope.
so it made its way. So, the photo was just tucked in the computer, and it's just like I'm getting, Dead Cool Disco Dirt, which happened before it. I was in the car, smoking, and I was taking selfies basically. And I took that one, and it was just like, yo, something looks real like grimy and ill about that. And I just scratched the eyes out. I was like,
Or
Cool Disco Dirt.
yeah. I like that joint
for that, right? So, an album cover should stick out, and not just for the sake of shock value. Like, it should be,
it's
a
the
part of it.
aesthetic.
It's like you said, it's like just running your hand over the egg real quick or doing this, and that's a part of the, So we get to Contracts Over Contacts, and I didn't have any artwork for it, and I'm just like, all right, well, you got the title now, and you got, what you feel like this album is overall about, but it's also personal. When you listen to the songs, you can hear more and more of me going into like, yo, this is not just about, yo, I won the Whammys and I can spit better than anybody in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And let's, now let's talk about the country. Let's talk about the world. This is, God gave me a gift. This is how I'm using it now with this level of expertise. This is LeBron playing now versus then. I don't care if somebody's like, "Oh, you compared yourself to LeBron." It's not that.
I understand what you mean. If
It's
they don't understand that, bro,
it's about seeing someone age gracefully into this art and being like, "Yo, you are better now." Like, you know what I mean? Back to the album cover. I'm scrolling through my joints and I see it again, and I'm just like, now life is happening. I'm learning that there are things that men pick up, that we absorb, that play out in our lives that aren't healthy. They play out in our relationships, and we might be stuck on them thinking that it's right and it's not. So you have things like that. You have.
Can you be specific?
Well, I mean specific.
Are you comfortable?
Yeah, I mean specific in the sense of like.
And you can speak broadly.
Of just like treatment and conversation. Like ways of communicating with someone that you might have assumed were right, and being in moments where you can only see yourself as being attacked, right? So your response is based on that. And you might have heard your uncle or brother or father speak to their woman in a certain way, and you
normalize it.
You normalize it, and it becomes, and it's not like I was just in a joint like, oh, you bitch, and it's not that. It's just to say that sometimes in the situation you can't see that, yeah, it was you. You can't see that, look, the only way to stop a nigga moment is by peace. Shout out to Huey Freeman from the Boondocks, you know what I'm saying? And Ghostface. But it's literally you being in there with the yeah, that's not gonna get it. And it's no argument that's ever important. That's just my assessment at this point, based on my experience, whether it's good, bad, whether it's mistakes or triumphs, is that, yeah, you could have did that differently. You could have said this differently, right? So moving that along is just to say that if you be honest about those pieces, if you remember that while forever feels forever, time, space, God, whatever, might have a different idea than you. You know what I mean? And I've been through that experience before where I had something and someone who I felt like was forever, more than once.
Okay.
And so you make it to an experience where you think this is the one, and it's, and then just life is life, and it's based on your choices, and it's based on just the events that happen. Minus your choices, because you could choose a lot of things. Again, I choose to, devote myself to hip hop as much as I have to try to get to the point where I say, yo, hey, Lord, I'm ready for the world to, and it's what it is, right? So the same way flaws, communicating, people just being different in general and needing different things, you know what I mean? Perhaps age can be a factor, you know what I mean? It may not be, because I didn't feel like it was really, you know what I mean? Like it was a different.
She younger?
Yeah, we're like about 10 years apart.
Oh, okay.
So just, it can be, but it wasn't really.
Understood.
You know what I mean? But just being, how can I say, being considerate of that factor. Me being considerate of that. Yo, you already have kids. You've been married. And considering that this person, does not have these same experiences, so they may need something else.
Let me ask
you. It ain't gotta feel good, but it may be what is necessary. So that being said, we have transitioned into going into our own directions. We are still very much connected. We love each other. We support each other. Our friends, have become family. So it's just kind of like that thing. And I want nothing but heaven for her, because she's played a huge role in not just me as a person, but me as an artist. She's a part of that. Like, and so that album cover kind of represents the transition and the heading into a new phase. It's almost like with the backs being turned, it's like it could be viewed as a farewell kiss, or it could be viewed as a coming together kiss. It depends on, what the eye sees. But like I said, for me, that picture was like, yo, this is a very beautiful way to put the angel on top of the tree.
Okay.
We've decorated a tree for 8 years together.
I like that.
And this was the angel on top of the tree for me of like, yo, I honor you, I love you, and thank you for making me be this ill-ass nigga that I am. Through joy and pain, you made me be dope. You know what I mean? You made me learn how to stand beside a queen. All right.
So
a
let
lot
me
of niggas be trying to be in front, and I'm like, can we just stand together? Like, fuck all that I got your back shit. Like, if we're right here, we can see everything. You know what I'm saying?
So can we talk about the ornaments that are on the tree?
Yeah, of course. Like some of my ornaments was, blunt guts and, and trash, and that's the part where it was like, hey, all right, I'm about to start decorating a new tree.
So there's an ornament. Mazda A is an ornament to me.
Mm-hmm. Are we? So you want to break down that piece? All right. So like,
No.
Let me just do this without. How can I do this without putting?
Well, hold on.
Putting the muse on blast.
For
that song.
You said let me.
Because that song is about a different experience in love. You know what I mean?
So, Speeches of a Man, Mazda A.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Yellow Jacket joint. I can't even remember the name of how
Yellow Members Only.
Yeah, and 48 Summers. I encourage people to go listen to the music, to connect with what it is that you're saying. And I'm certainly not bringing up these individual items to ask, to put you in a position to divulge anything specific about anybody. I think what I find the most interesting is how transparent you were with putting the situations out there. And I'm looking at the lyrics, right? Listening to the joints, looking at the names of them, looking at the album cover, looking at the title. Like I said, because EMS. So this is how I'm trying to look at this shit.
I pray the world does what you're doing right now
through the Tim Hicks lane. I'm like, because I'm trying to connect with your perspective, and then inadvertently I can't help but add my own shit to it. But I'm decorating a tree with my wife, and I love that analogy. It's beautiful. It's some shit on the motherfucker, bro.
Some rapper shit. It wasn't like you know what I mean?
It's some ornaments on there that I'm not proud of.
Yeah.
My goal is to limit the ones that I put on that motherfucker that I'm not proud of by recognizing that I'm human and I'm gonna put some bullshit on them every now and then. We figure it out, right? To me, that's a part of being a man. It's a part of growing. You're redefining these terms and what all of this shit means. You're still human, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to bring it up to mainly just have a conversation with you, man, just around accountability.
People have needs. So speaking of accountability, being accountable, knowing that when it's not working, at some point you have to shift. And in many moments, I have been very selfish in taking a gung-ho approach of, look, I don't care if it's 1,000 bullets coming at me. I'm going after this, and I'm going after this way. So, like you said, like being skilled and not receiving the benefits of it, that's a strain. You know what I mean? It's a strain, when you are, I don't know any woman that immediately gets hit with you're supposed to be a provider. Like in the same way that people look at it the way they do with men. There is no, oh man, well, no dude ever made a "Can You Pay My Bills" song. With the exception of rappers that rapped on pimp shit.
Right.
There are a lot of people that's like, oh, she bought me the new Jordans and all of that. But I'm just saying, like, none of it was ever that big of a hit about, like, literally, can you do this for me? Right? I'm like, well, can you do it for me? Like, was it ever a moment where me as a dude could just be like, yeah, well, I mean, I just want to chill and let. And it was never that, but it was, I support you and I support you. This is what you're doing. This is the person you are. I support you in that. This is the person you are. I support you in that. But there is a hardship being an artist, being a creative, and not having the finances. So even in that aspect, I hold myself accountable and say, man, well, if I could have, done these things, it might have freed her up to do this. You know what I mean? It might have blessed my kids in this way. Mm-hmm. So it takes, like I said, like certain goggles and even a certain amount of courage to even say that shit. Because some people just do what they do and don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I give a shit. I give a shit that it was like, man, you were the breadwinner. And, I was just praying that me throwing them rocks at the moon was going to hit the moon and it was going to be all this light to burst out. And you know what I'm saying? So, but I just say that, just add that on to just say, like I said, I'm not trying to paint no like little rosy or vague picture of like, oh, we just decided to call it quits. But I'm also not trying to go in.
Understood.
Like I said, some people use this moment as the, sometimes people don't recognize what they have. And it's like, no, look, maybe God intended for you to have someone greater than I.
Yeah. And maybe there's
And you never know what trajectory is supposed to be. Maybe there's a point where you and whoever it is come back around, but I love her enough to want everything for her, even if it does not come by way of my hands.
Yeah.
It's only really by God's hands anyway. You know what I'm saying? But album cover, yes, very symbolic. Songs, very symbolic. Me being very real because it was a lot of pain happening. It just wasn't the relationship. It wasn't even really about the relationship. It was the relationship being like centerpiece to all this other shit that was like happening all at once, and me just being there again, sitting and saying like, yo, did I just like waste my whole family's future on gambling on this, like, yo, like one day somebody's gonna hear my shit and they're gonna see my face and get it and say, yo, that's fucking star power right there. Like, what the fuck are we doing? How did we not know about this nigga? You know what I mean? But anyway, the album is me talking about that shit. It's me being real with like, yo, hey, like I said at the beginning of Speeches of a Man, it's like, what did I say? Lord, hope you hear my situation sticky. Mm-hmm. And my brain is fried right now. But the point is, I got to some point where I said almost 50. Could have been Ricky. Thank God them bullets missed me. And it's like metaphor and, some element of reality, things that actually really happen. You know what I mean? And that's not for nobody to be like, oh yeah, Tim was out there in them streets. I was in the streets, but I knew when to go home.
Yeah.
That's why I'm still here. So let's put it that way. But it's points of me being honest in that album. Hopefully even more honest than I Love You, I'm Not Sorry.
It felt like, to me, it's your pen, bro. I like, how do I say it? Almost 50. Mm-hmm. Your pen is getting sharper. And I don't know if it's getting sharper from my perspective because you rapping about shit in a way that...
Yeah, I had to be reminded just now that almost 50 was two ways, because it's like I'm almost 50, but like almost 50.
50 Cent.
Them bullets missed me, like, you know what I mean? Anyway.
Because to give you an example, with the one joint you said, my daughter saw me shooting, now they papa got the one up.
Yeah. And it ain't a pretty picture. It's, look, this is the one you got. He ain't got all the money, but trust me, the gunslingers know who I am. It's some people that get nervous when my name is mentioned, and that's by the grace of God. I'm not saying it on, like my man said, that's not ego. That's how we go.
But see, I took that to mean...
I say that, yes, based on what God gave me, the same way he gave Allen Iverson that crossover, I have that in my sector of things. So I'm getting sidetracked. Let's go back. we was talking about I got lost in the bars when we were talking about the 50 and the elevation of, you know, writing and the honesty of the experience.
So speeches of a man, since you mentioned it, because I definitely was going to go there. I think I don't even know how to say it, bro. You said it cost a fortune to tell the future. You are experiencing that cost, bro. I am too. You and I's goal, I feel, is the same, and that is love. Bringing people back to this shit. And because we so fly, because we have a unique perspective, and our brains connect certain dots, and we've got certain inclinations that gravitates us to, that we gravitate towards differently. We're looking for dope ways to get motherfuckers to this love shit. And
Agreed.
that is the future. It's gonna take a long time for people to catch up to that fact, because they're gonna have to fucking eat themselves to death. They're gonna have to buy them motherfucking selves to death. They're gonna have to finally reach the conclusion that don't none of this shit make you happy. And all of the things you sacrificed to get it, you realize at the end wasn't fucking worth it. And then at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is love.
Yeah.
And as everybody talking about AI and shit being the future, I even think AI is a way that we're going to get, that I think AI is forcing us back to love. Like there's love and beauty in imperfection. There's beauty and love in things being slightly the fuck off.
Yeah. In the era of BBLs and
Yes.
you know, everything needing. That's what I think when I got sidetracked was I was trying to say is just like people are afraid to say, like, and not say, but to show, like, man, it's a hole in my shirt. It's a stain on these pants. Like, they don't, right now, it's all about being seen as you're winning. You know, like, your clothes got to be fresh. Like, man, I had on slides for 2 years, man. Like, sure, I could have went out and bought a pair of shoes, but it was a humbling experience. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's better for me and for the people listening to me to get this, to see like, oh man, this dude don't really have everything. And like he, you know, because it's also not about a sob story. It's not about just constantly talking about struggle, because I'm winning. I'm winning. I'm alive. I'm well.
Yeah.
I'm on the right side of the walls. I'm on the right side of the dirt. My family is okay as well as can be, given whatever life circumstances are here. So those are the real riches, you know? And again, maybe someday it will manifest into being what it is, but ain't gonna be no, you know, pretending to get there.
Yeah.
If you love me, if you love what I do, if you hate me and you know, kind of like what I do, like, at least you know that this is what it is. It ain't, you know, all right, well, he's giving us this image and he's showing up, you know, at events with his kids and, you know, but secretly it's some other shit. You know what I mean? Again, secretly, you know, your man is like ordering, you know, tons, baby oil by the tons. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he winning.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? There's that. Like, you know, there's trying not to implode or explode watching that happen. Watching people that you know are not as dope, people that you know don't care as much as you do about the culture. You know what I mean? Because we got to go ahead with this ambrosia shit, right? And I say that, you know, because it's like, all right, and maybe I'm using the term wrong, but just it's like this living off nostalgia right now. Like, it's great that we have all our OG artists coming out and dropping projects, but it would only be better if you had the likes of me, the likes of a YU right there. That makes it better. Because at a certain point, the attention span, again, will go right back to that other shit. You know what I mean? For us, you know, these albums and songs will live a little bit longer, but we're in that age where stuff coming out every second. So people, you know, but if you don't have anything else to go with, like I said, I don't want to keep, just me as a fan of hip hop, I don't want to keep being privy to a conversation that is a circular one. We can't keep just like all these people, I love them. But I was there when they first started doing this shit. So it's just like, well, what else do we have? Not just me, but I know it's some other people that's dope, not just in the DMV, elsewhere that's like, well, they deserve to, you know, now it's time for that to like, especially some of them being connected to some larger artists. It's like, well, why? But
That's why you got to keep doing it, bro.
that's what I'm saying. It's like, look, for whoever this helps, keep going until you literally get to that day where you just feel like you can't write no more. And I mean, shout out to brother Andre 3000, but I have a lot of shit to say at 48. And I can say it better.
I like that. Is there anything you want to say that you haven't said yet?
You mean as an artist? As like, I don't know if there's anything that I haven't said yet that I feel I need to say, but there are things that I have said that I need to double down on because people still ain't hearing that shit. And I think it's just a matter of me finding a fresh way to say it every time. Because it's pretty much the same, you know, the message doesn't change when the album changes. Even if it's a different subject matter, the core of it is what you said. Hey, yo, I love the source that created me, and I'm doing my best to love the people that were created by the same source, even if that proves to be challenging based on how humanity is, myself included. You know?
Yeah. You think, is it hard to love you, bro?
I mean, yes and no. It can't be but so hard because God loves me. And if God hasn't given up on me,
That's the fancy answer.
You know,
oh, that's a fancy.
I look at it like,
give
well,
me the real,
I mean,
give me the dirty answer.
I think the answer is it can be difficult, but it's based on me. It's not based on the other person. It's based on me not managing my own shit.
So that's my.
It's based on me not, you know.
So based on you
being my highest self.
knowing you, is it hard to love you?
Challenging. I think that's a better way to say it.
Then hard?
Yeah.
Challenging. What makes it challenging?
Me not fully grasping my greatness.
So how does that show up in the form of a challenge?
Well, in a sense that if you realize you're great, greatness is connected to God. How does God treat you? Does God shit on you? Now, some people don't believe in God, but again, for me, I can say that that's the one source or entity that doesn't ever like just mistreat me, that the love is always the same, you know what I'm saying? So if I can figure out how to do it more like that when I'm dealing with a person, then
What about to yourself?
Then I can, and even that too, I think that's bigger than the second part, because if you don't have the, you know, the internal, it's going to be very hard to love and to receive it too. You know what I'm saying? So I've been trying to do a better job at that. I say trying because I'm a human. I say trying because I don't paint a picture like I walk around every day like, yeah, I'm that nigga. It's, you know, I'm, I come up hard, babe. Like I'm trouble, man. You know what I mean? But not for cliche, not for like attention.
That's what it is.
I'm a human, and maybe the artist stuff contributes to that. You know what I mean? But I don't really like to leave it with that. Well, I'm an artist, so I require more than like I'm Tim, man. I'm Tim Hicks, Timothy John Hicks. You know what I mean?
I think it's a lot like I was watching that Eddie Murphy documentary on Netflix.
I still need to see it.
And he was talking about how he said he's not a comedian, he's not a musician, he's not a singer. He was basically saying he's just an artist who has many ways of expressing himself. But he said that artists are the kind of people that can walk in the room and see things that other people just don't see. And that's how I see artists and myself, because there's a unique take and perspective that we have, which is that we can focus on and share, that other people can see and connect with and also see it. Not everybody though, which is, and I think sometimes if we want the most eyes, it's funny because when you said contracts over contacts, I took that, my brain took it as it's all about the money. And that the contacts were not as important anymore, just based on like the high level. But when I looked at the album cover, I was like, oh shit, is the contract marriage over contacts? And I'm like, oh shit, is a contact some bullshit from online or whatever? And I'm like, oh, so there were like these 3 or 4 different meanings that I had that could mean something very different based on the cover, based on the picture, based on a bunch of shit, right? And so you have a unique way of looking at the world, dude. And when I started this, I knew that it was going to be slow, because my primary focus is love above all. And that is a much heavier lift. It's a slower roll, but it's the one that's gonna last the motherfucking longest, and that is the most consistent. And I feel the same way about the shit that you doing, bro. And I'm glad, selfishly, as much success that I want you to have and that you deserve, 100%. I can't help but believe that because it's going the way that it's going, it's because it's preparing you for what's to come. And maybe if it came now, maybe Tim hasn't materialized the Tim that Tim is going to need.
For that moment.
And you're using the time to get better, to stay sharp and on top of your motherfucking game, and looking for ways to be creative and finding ways to stay encouraged and curious about what's out there and about what you see and how you see it. Because I can't imagine, I don't imagine a world, bro, where you don't win.
Thank you, brother.
I just imagine a world where the fucking win comes at a time that we don't necessarily understand or plan for, because we ain't, God in the scenario.
Yeah, it's okay to be in the stage of the train, because eventually you, and then that joint is just going. So at this part of whatever the, on the tracks we are, I'm okay with being in preparation. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, if again, because it comes from God, so it can come out, bountiful, and it might come out just in drops. But if I'm in preparation, so be it. You know what I mean?
So, Whammies is coming up.
Yes, they are.
You done released 15 fucking projects over the last year.
So-
Which one is going to the joint, bro?
So, all right. So this is the way I look at it. One, I thank God that I was able to be that productive. And had I waited basically a month, Jesus License Superstar would be in this group.
Oh,
I
shit.
dropped it in December of 2023.
Oh, it wasn't January?
Yeah. It dropped, in a time when people usually don't drop music unless it's Christmas songs, or holiday music. So, with that being said, I dropped 3 albums in the span of 24 to 25. 2 of them are produced solely by myself. Well, shout out to Howard Knox.
He did a few on
Howard threw me 3 joints on I Love You, I'm Not Sorry. But just predominantly speaking, I handled the weight of that. We get the contracts over contacts. Shout out to Skinny. Thank you, brother, for creating some masterful shit that now is in the runnings for best. And this, let me specify this.
Which joint is this?
All 3 of my albums are nominated.
Okay.
So I Love You, I'm Not Sorry, because the Whammies skipped a year. They weren't here last year, I think, and I'm not sure what the complications might have been.
Okay.
But they, chose to take a year off. So this year they're also awarding for the previous year as well as, whatever's current.
Gotcha.
That being said, so I Love You, I'm Not Sorry, Cool Disco Dirt, and Contracts Over Contacts are all nominated for Best Rap Hip Hop Album. I say that way because previously in the Whammies history, rap and hip hop have been split in more than one category. Where there was a rap category, there was a hip hop. I've been blessed to win in both sides. And then they brought it back together as one. And then, so I don't know what the reasoning behind that is. All I know is I won my trophies because I know I put the work in. And I know that, again, if we're going to put all these projects up, I know God is with me. I'm going to just say it like that. I'm not even getting into what I did back when God Hates Gucci happened. And I had to learn humility,
So
as much as it's just a part of it, MC, to be, y'all, I'm the shit, I had to learn humility. You know what I mean? I did some real Muhammad Ali shit at that time. And some of it was for the good. Because I don't think you should walk in any ring saying, yeah, well,
I'm about to lose.
I'm about to come out second best. Nah. But I'm also learning to be graceful. Clyde Drexler in the NBA, he used to always just do what he did, but he had this expression, this expression on his face like it wasn't nothing. I don't know if I just was too young to ever catch him in a shit talking moment, but he would do his thing and just go down the court real quiet, just this real relaxed look on his face. So I'm trying to adapt to that too, while still being a promoter, because I believe promotion helped me get the Whammies when I won them for the solo albums.
You had to work it
that I've put out. I believe promotion helped, 3 to Godway win Best Rap Group 2023. So I'm still trying to make sure that you do that, but do it in my way. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you, man, and I ain't trying to be messy. I'm asking
put
just
them 5 words on at least 3 trophies, like I said, because I believe all 3 of them albums. Now, I wouldn't be mad at any one of them that wins.
So who, and I'm not asking this question to be messy.
I'm up for artists as well, and I have 10 to 12 songs that are nominated for Best Hip Hop Song of the Year. So I'm praying for all brooms.
So, you know what songs is up?
Oh man, it's a lot of them. You know what I mean?
Cause I'd like to see
Lottos.
what they. Lottos was nice. Shout out to BB. She on that joint, ain't she?
Uncle Piggy with Kenilworth Katrina. Shout out to Katrina. another powerhouse.
What
Gifted.
album was that on? That's the light
I
skin?
Love You, I'm Not Sorry.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Is Who Killed Fendi on that mug, bro?
No, I think that's not nominated, which is actually I'm glad you said that. I'll look into that. I'll look into that.
Who Killed Fendi,
we
man?
might still have time. I think we creeping up on the 15th.
That's
voting begins, but the wonderful theme song, which is from Contracts Over Contacts, that's up there. Sherman Douglas is up for the award. Those are both off of Contracts Over Contacts.
Jasmine.
Jasmine isn't there because that was in 2023.
Okay.
So that album won't, it can't make the runners just based on the time period.
WBDK. I know that's 2023, but
Yeah, Whammy Heist is up for the runnings, which that would make sense. I'm just putting that out there. It would make sense for me to win Best Hip Hop Song at the Whammies, the 2026 Whammies, for a song called Whammy Heist, which was about me doing what I did by the grace of God. And shout out to my man Camber and Howard Knox, because they did Grammy Heist first. I used the beat for that and did Whammy Heist.
Okay.
At Camber's suggestion. He was like, yo, you done did your thing, man. Why don't you call it Whammy Heist? So that would be fitting. But y'all can take any of them songs. Y'all can, again, put 5 words on a trophy. Let the dirt say amen. I think that's 5. Let the dirt.
my bad. I was counting syllables. I said, amen.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's some hip hop shit too that we do. But yeah, man, I pray that God says it's my time again. And if it's somebody else's time, God bless them. I put my hat in the ring so that it can be competitive.
So whose joint has released that you were like, yeah, that's kind of fire? Is anybody out there moving, man, that you look at and be like,
Well, here's the thing.
I'm really feeling what they doing?
This is one thing I always do when it comes to Whammy season. I do my due diligence, as they say, and I actually go listen to every project that I see in the nominees, for the most part. Some joints I can just kind of look at the album cover and like, yeah, this is probably not my speed, no diss to the artist. But I try to go listen with an honest ear to say, yo, did you hear something that's like, nah, man, you got competition. You know what I mean? And shout out to TP. You know what I mean? Young brother out of PG County. He won, maybe the last 2 years that they did it, he won Best Rap Album. But TP 301, TP always makes dope music. Again, I'm speaking to people that's like, yo, all right, look, hey, man, shout out to Enoch the Seventh Prophet. Shout out to Do Me Right. Shout out to Killer Cow. It's some hard hitters in the, it's some competition. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I just know what I did. I don't know what anyone else did outside of what I can hear. And when I go back to press play on mine, and I do this with major artists, outside of just this Whammy stuff, and I'm not downgrading it, I'm just saying I compare my stuff or contrast it with a lot of stuff to make sure I'm doing what I think I need to be doing. And when I come back and press play, I can say, yeah, man, this, I don't know who's doing it like this. So I pray that, again, lightning will strike again in the Capitol, like the Bad Brains album cover, and, we'll get some more pieces to put on the shelf, man. Like, I'm at 6 at this point. I've won a Whammy 6 times.
Does that means something, right?
Cornell West Theory and Let the Dirt Say Amen. Yeah, and that means a lot to me, because at one point it seemed like it didn't mean nothing to people in our area. Like, the Whammies was a thing, but it wasn't. Like, it seemed to me, I feel like the Whammies got bigger in the last couple years. And if you ask me, I was a huge part of it.
Okay.
Because I was vocal about it. Because I was feeling like, look, this is our Grammys. Some people are like, well, that's the Grammys, and that's just these are our Grammys for the DMV. So why not take it seriously? You know what I mean? So that's how I look at it. It's just like, yo, that's not no small feat. You won it 6 times, bro. Like, so I don't need to win again at all. But I'm a competitor. And I know, again, what I did. I know that if you can't find the best album in hip hop in them 3 albums, I don't know what to tell you. And again, blessings to whoever, you know, comes out on top. But I know what I did. When you hear those 3 projects, you should know too. Whoever the listener may be, it should be evident that, yo, man, there's some dope stuff out here, but this shit is, you know, this is it.